Last week I recorded a video noting that most reporters are not out to get you. And I was talking about Katie Porter's interview with the CBS affiliate in Sacramento. And one of the things that I said is, I thought that she could have handled the situation differently and that most reporters are not out to get you. But I should have added more clarity and I should have added an important caveat. The first thing is that if you agree to an interview, my assumption is that you or someone on your team has already vetted the outlet and the host, and you've said yes because you feel like you have a reasonable shot of getting your point across. And so I should have started there. Um, and if you don't do that, or if someone on your team doesn't do that, then you really don't know the motives of the person who you're sitting down with. Nonetheless, from what I observed, the interview, Katie Porter's interview, it seemed fair. But the other important thing that I should have noted is that who controls the media and how that can impact what we see and what we hear. Bernie Sanders posted something a few days ago, and he basically noted that the five largest or the five wealthiest people in the world, they control some of the biggest media outlets that we consume. He mentioned Elon Musk, and he obviously owns X. Larry Ellison, the second wealthiest person in the world, owns, what is it? Paramount. And that includes CBS News. And he's also rumored to be possibly purchasing TikTok or taking over TikTok. And then you have to think about Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook and Meta. And so what you have when you have really, really wealthy people who own these platforms is they can decide what content gets uplifted and what content gets suppressed. The other thing that we find is that if your message is countercultural, if you're talking about race, if you're talking about anything that is considered controversial, your content can be suppressed. You may not even make it to the interview opportunity. And I say that because people like myself, we spend a lot of time every day, every working day, pitching worthy causes to be covered. And sometimes the things that are not covered, the only explanation that I have is because it talks about race or racism. And so sometimes there are outlets who don't want to cover that. The other thing that we see is if you think about social media, you see some content that's really pushed and you see other content that is suppressed. This says nothing of popular culture and the messages that we are given, not so subtly, through what we consume, through what we listen to in popular culture. And so when I say that most media outlets are not out to get you, I say that acknowledging that if you've agreed to do an interview, you hopefully have done some due diligence to find out if you're going to have a fair shot to make your message. But I don't know that it's entirely true that most media outlets don't have a perspective that they want to drive. And if your perspective doesn't align, sometimes your perspective can either be ignored. In other situations, your perspective will be told in a way that does not make you look good. Another example of this is when you think about people who experience any form of fatal interactions with law enforcement or brutality, even when the media covers the individuals who are bona fide victims, sometimes their past is brought into the story. Or when you find people, on the other hand, who happen to be European and they've made a mistake, oftentimes they are humanized in a way that you don't see for other groups. And I have to ask why. So I just wanted to make sure that when I talked about this story, that I was speaking specifically for Katie Porter and the interview that she had, and not broadly about what happens in media. If you like this content, please be sure to subscribe. You can also leave a positive comment. And thank you so much for listening.